Legends, what is going on? Found some really good assets to start looking at. So let's get into it for today. And let's check out Bitcoin first off, right? We got some squiggle lines here, which is, whoops, which is what we're always after, Mr. Squiggly. So basically, we're forming this pattern here, right? Something like that, and we've broken out. So for a lot of people, this isn't easy to trade, right? Unless you're on like small time frames and you're trying to pick like smaller patterns and things like that. But it's going in the direction. So spot holding for a lot of people is more beneficial, right? But just depending on your style of trading, right? So there's always different types of trading. There's spot buying, there's leverage trading and things like that. But like the pros and cons, if you're very new to trading the financial markets or crypto, in fact, because it's super volatile, you might get those wicks down, even though even though you know the direction it's going right, you might get wicked out because we have stop losses. And with spot buying, it's a little bit different because you're a little bit more lenient and you don't usually get stopped out and liquidated sort of thing. So like for long-term 6 month, 4, 5, 6 month investing, trading with the trends, things like that, can be beneficial in this sort of market. So you can have a couple of different portfolios where it's like one, you're just buying and holding until like the trend stops, market structure stops on a higher time frame, and then leverage trading, easy patterns. Like I'm gonna show you in a minute. But right now, Bitcoin is on its way to 100K. I've been speaking about this before. There's a lot of sentiment around the psychology around even numbers and things like that. And you can see on social media and stuff like that, 100K is sort of like where it wants to hit. So I would expect a bit of a retracement there. And, markets can do anything. Okay. Markets can do anything they want. Like it's only our perception of the markets. The only good thing is like when you're right and you're on the right side of the market. So ideally, you just want to be prepared for everything. So at the 100K mark, like my thought process is, okay, there's going to be a lot of volatility in that area around like this area and the 100K, 102, 103K mark, right? Which way? I don't know. Ideally with trend, right? But there's going to be, potentially a big sell-off or like maybe a 10% sell-off, 15% sell-off. Like probably not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but there could be a sell-off, which then will affect the whole market. So, it's tightening stops, taking profits and things like that. So it's just we always got to be cautious in the markets, but more so around the psychology of those even numbers and things like that. Okay. So just be careful when we're approaching this 100K mark. We may explode out up to the top, and it could be the best thing for Biddy, right? Because the FOMO of people coming in, but just be cautionary around what it wants to do. Okay, and if you panic, just go to a high time frame, and then adjust your emotions and things like that. I always say like if in doubt, zoom out. So Bitcoin's still tracking nice and holding it until market structure changes on the daily and weekly and things like that, depending on your trading strategy and style and stuff. All right, let's just jump into ETH. Um, Put this in my community last night, right? We're at a 4 hour resistance. We broke support here. So we're right at the bottom, but we also had this really nice divergence. And then we popped out here and then we created this continuation pattern here and exploded. So that hopefully everyone caught that in our community. Daily time frame, let's look at it. This is all we're waiting for was this EMA to push this out and explode through here. And we'll do the same thing, right? We've had a really powerful move. So we've had this really powerful candle and we're a little bit far away. So think about this, like the closer we are to a door, like if we were trying to run through a door and we stood 100 meters back, right? And we ran as fast as we could, most of us would probably be too tired to run through that door before we got to it, right? So the energy output from a distance, we would be exhausted by the time we got there. So think about that, right? From here to here, this is the door we have to break through. But if we started closer, like here somewhere, and exploded, we would have more energy. So think about this, right? We're about 40 meters away from the door and we ran, right? We got our momentum up and we still had energy to break through that door. Pow, we're through that resistance, right? Through that door, and then we continue through. And then it's easy from there on to that next resistance. So if we think about that, right? Big powerful move from here up to here. We're probably going to sit here and consolidate until this pushes up through, and then we'll start looking at that next door, and then the same process for each level. Okay, so hopefully that analogy works for you. But Ethereum, nice solid market structure on the 1 hour time frame here where we're expanding and then contracting. Markets do the same thing over and over again. We expand, right? Markets breathe and then push out again, usually in direction of trend. Or, if it wants to break trend, go down, continue back like that. But I always like to stay with trend. That's the higher probability trade. Momentum theory, right? We don't want to, if you were trying to jump onto a bus, would you try and jump in front of the bus to stop it? Or would you have more of an opportunity to live if you jumped onto the side of the bus and went with it? Same thing in the markets, right? We don't want to try and go against the markets. Potentially, most of us here watching this or in this community doesn't have the liquidity to move markets. Okay. Unless you're in a really shit coin and you chuck whatever and it moves it. But then on the other hand, you can't sell your stuff back because there's no liquidity. So markets like this, like Ethereum and stuff like that, we're just crumbs in the overall market. So yeah, ideally trade with momentum. It's the higher probability. All right, cool. Let's check out ADA. We've been speaking about this a lot. We've got that break retest down here. Great stuff. Now we're just pushing out through. I'm looking at these targets. Let's have a look, right? So my next sticking point would be somewhere like here. So like the dollar 17 to the dollar 25. We could even like zone it down here. Why? Because of like this little resistance area here, but this is sort of like the target where we would have the sticking point. My final target would be like obviously all-time highs and stuff like that. But if it like leverage trading, I'll be taking profits and just watching here because we might be able to, take profits and then buy back in lower and that. But like my main portfolio, I don't touch because like I'm not worried about a 5% drop in profits and stuff. I'm looking for bigger, 500, 600, 700% return. So in the grand scheme of things, like a 5% retracement is fucking nothing, is nothing, right? In my opinion, for my portfolio, for my psychology, for my strategy. Okay. So that's going to be like a bit of a sticking point there. Let's check out XRP. We spoke about this. So this is a really good recap thing, all right? It's just patience. People say they don't have time, but look at this, right? Oh, 4 days, nearly, oops, 5 days in a sideways range. If you can't look at the charts, once or twice and build a position for this next leg up, there's something wrong. You need to prioritize something more. And that's a 30% move already. You have $100,000 on there, you just made $30,000 in that retrospect, right? So same process. Markets expand, they go sideways, they consolidate, and then usually like wait for the EMAs and then they push them out again, right? Higher probabilities, they continue with momentum. Yes, trends do break and they go down, right? But that's where you start to look at your higher time frame stuff to see, all right, what's the trend doing on the higher time frame? Are we just having a bit of a pullback? And then we start looking at those areas of value, okay, at the lower time frames to buy a better position. Okay. Let's check out BNB. So same thing, right? Where we are on support here. We're just waiting for that daily EMA to push out, which we're starting to. So this is like a nice 14% move from here. And then, above and beyond. I think that would be almost all-time highs, will it? Yep. Yep. We'll be like at that all-time highs. And then we are, you know, creating market structure, positive market structure, bullish market structure, and then we're in price discovery. So usually when we're in price discovery, what I'm looking for is like high time frame EMAs, bullish market structure on the 4 hour, 12 hour, and then if I'm leverage trading on the 1 hour, 15-minute time frames, and same thing. EMAs are bullish, 4 hours bullish, and the daily's bullish, then I'm good. Breaking market structure on the 4 hour, 1 hour to a bearish downside. I'm then looking at higher time frame areas of value to take entries, and then looking when we get to those areas, what are the candlestick patterns that I'm looking for? Are we looking for, like the wicks to the bottom side and things like that? So just be very mindful, because we do have pullbacks. Sol, I think, is at price discovery nearly. We're looking pretty solid. Okay, so thing with this, like when we have all-time highs and our EMAs are like down here, so that's a weekly. The daily is gonna like push this out, and depending on how this pushes out, like we could rock it. Okay, so like a few things can happen here, but like the markets will do the same thing. Okay, a few options, few varieties, but the markets will do the same thing when that thing happens. All right, so understanding that, basically, like if we rock it up, okay, then wherever these EMAs are, this will sort of like, pull back into here. Good example on Zig. Okay. We pushed out, we sort of like rocketed out here, and the EMAs were down here, and we sort of floated down. Okay. We floated down, and we've been hovering here for, like nearly 10 days just in a consolidation, but we're waiting for this EMA to push it out, right? So this is what could happen. See how we've like pushed all the way out here, and then we retraced back down. So if we look onto like a 4 hour time frame, right, pushed out, looks okay on the time, like on the 4 hour time frame and stuff like that. But when we exploded out, we're just hovering out here, but we had to come back down and retest down here, and this is where our 12 hour daily EMAs were when it pushed out. So now we're floating back into them, as you can see on the higher time frame. We're floating back into them, and then hopefully this continues out. So Sol could do something very similar depending on how it pushes out. Okay, so just be mindful there, but we don't need to rush. We can just find where it wants to respect those levels, and then identify the lowest levels, and then start looking for entries there. Spot buying, if you're confident in that, you can start looking at buying now and just holding. For whatever, like that's on you, however you want to do that. All right. But Sol is nearly in price discovery. And then once in price discovery, things will rocket. Like if you look at gold and gold more specifically, right? Just rocketed once it broke that weekly time frame. Okay. So Sol's a good one. Gala, let's check out Gala. Like this is really cool. Like I really like Gala. All right. Like look at this. All right. So remember how I was talking about trends? Okay. So we've got like this downtrend, right? We got our market structure, downtrend, market structure, downtrend, and then we got this sideways market. Usually, like higher probability is that, we're going to continue down, but buyers came into the market. We actually tapped into a really nice, time frame, like a nice area of value through here, right? This is where this move initiated. The initial move from here to here initiated. So buyers are going to be in this area. So like it's a high probability that this is going to be a reversal area. Now, downtrend, sideways, the market should go down, momentum, right? But it hasn't. Momentum has changed, and this is what we're seeing now. So we could just start looking at just staying in assets like this. This is like literally the whole crypto market, right? We're just breaking main structures like this now. So all we need to do if we're like buying and holding is for this, look for this look left and identify key areas that it's bouncing out of, right? Because of the big move. We don't need to make things complicated. And then we look at main structures on the daily time frame where resistance it holds, and we're breaking. Now we're forming like a consolidation pattern, right? And all we're looking for, we're just staying in with bullish market structure on high time frames, right? And then we're looking at, key levels like that. So from here, from here to here, that's like a 60% move. That's fucking huge. And there's nothing here. So this should rocket pretty decently. Like it should move. Once it gets momentum behind it, this should move pretty quickly to here. And then if it moves quickly, watch out for the EMAs because the EMAs could be down here. So example, XRP, right? We consolidated here. The EMAs were down here. We stayed here until the EMAs caught up to push it out of that higher time frame. Markets do the same shit over and over and over again. It's a higher probability thing. Markets can do whatever it wants, but if you start to throw in like the what ifs or what if this and like the little variables that are low percentage trades and the low percentage ideas, right? You're gonna fucking confuse yourself. So if you have like a blanket approach of like a higher probability over a long period of time, you're going to get more right than wrong. Okay. So just watch out for that. Um, where were we at? We're at Gala. Okay. So, we could have that higher push, could have that really fast push out of here. And then just depending on how this actually moves, okay. Um, then wherever these EMAs are, we could like reject here and then consolidate for a bit. So then it's like, do I build positions in here or can I put this on the sidelines now? I've taken my profit. Can I put this on the sidelines now? I know this is here. It's consolidating. So I've got a week. I can get my money out of this and put it into something else and get it moving, right? So it's about trying to find, like, depending on how aggressive you are, okay, in this crypto market, because everything's popping off at different times. So it's like, do I sit my money in here or do I take percentages out and put it over here? Like, these are the things that you have to decide on what you want to do, okay? No one can tell you that. But if you want like a chilled out, relax free thing, leave it in there. Cool. High time frame, weekly time frame. Just going to sit in this until market structurally actually changes, and then I'm out. Right? Or you can recycle and move it and compound it and blah blah blah. 40% here, take it out, put it in here, moves another 50% and things like that. So very circumstantial how it moves and how it works on you. But the markets will do the same thing over and over again. We just need to understand if the market does this, what am I looking for? Okay. So hopefully this little video helps. Let's go out and smash it. Let's go make some money. Catches.